Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Jesse. Good to have you here. Hi, everyone. So
Hi,
happy to
okay.
have everyone here. Even though it's a weekday and everyone is here, it means a lot to me and to Gertrude. It means a lot to Gertrude. You know, it's
Why did you stretch
because
it?
because yeah, she was the one that was watching a video and saw Jesse and was like, yeah, I think we should, we should have him come speak to us at TSN, saying that he works with one of the top companies in the world, and he definitely has a lot that he can share with everyone in the community and everyone else who is who isn't in the community, which I wonder why. So um that's why we're here, and that's why it means a lot to both of us, but chief to Gertrude. So thank you for being here, and someone wants to join. So we would start immediately so we can give you back your evening and your afternoon and your work time. So Jesse, like I've shared a little bit about him, works with a company called Amazon Web Services, AWS, and he's Kenyan, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. But he stays in London, so he's definitely feeling the cold. So he's in London, and he's here to share with us how to navigate, the early stage in your sales career. I don't know if anyone have listened to why we started TSN. So maybe I'd share about it for the gazillionth time. We started TSN because when when I and Gertrude joined sales, tech sales to be precise, we never knew, how to go about it, what to do, you know, and we didn't have a lot of communities to join. We made a lot of mistakes, at the early stage, and we thought, we don't want every other person to go through what we went through. So we decided to start the community. So, Jesse, thank you so much. You're talking on a topic that is a foundation to what we're doing at TSN, and it means a lot to us. Thank you for coming and for being here.
Thanks for
So
having
it's
me.
going to be, yeah, thank you so much. So it's going to be very interactive, very, very interactive because we're doing a fireside, and fireside chat, and you know how it goes if you've been to any of our fireside chats. I would have a couple of questions, and then you can drop your questions on the chat. So as I ask the questions and you think that this is important, then you can put it on the chat and I would just flow with it. And hopefully we can be here just at the top of the hour. Oh, more people are joining. This is so exciting. All right. So so I would go right into it. First off, Jesse. So we're going to do a bit of introduction. We want to get to know you. I know that I and Gertrude, and you have been a little bit acquainted. So we just want to know you. Every other person, of course, wants to get to know you. And what inspired you to pursue a career in AWS apart from the money?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone who's joining and listening in. For making time. And yeah, before I start, I could say like, yeah, this is a very great initiative, I think, and congratulations to the brains behind this. This is phenomenal. Yeah, I
Thank you.
No problem. I'm from, as you mentioned, I'm from Kenya, but I moved to Rwanda a few years ago to pursue my undergraduate studies. I went to a school called African Leadership University where I did my undergraduate. And there is where I was challenged by the non-conventional learning, which was you pursuing your mission. So when you go to like a first day in class, you'll be asked, "What would you like to accomplish? What mission would you like to accomplish by the time you finish school?" So it was different from other universities, and that's what really got me thinking, what do I want to do after university? AWS wasn't in mind, and I didn't even have any idea that tech sales was something that I would end up pursuing later on. But I was fascinated by technology. I remember I really wanted to use technology to solve Africa's most pressing challenges, and I discovered my dissertation was on healthcare, so remote healthcare access. And in a country like Kenya, we have maybe one a doctor to patient ratio of 1 is to 10,000. So I asked myself, if all these people get sick at the same time, what would happen? Yeah, it would be a disaster. So that led me to thinking about how can we design and develop innovative technologies to solve fast healthcare challenges and two other pressing challenges that we have in Africa, such as poverty. And by doing that, I started doing a bit of research on the companies that are leading in terms of technology and innovation, and also have opportunity for people to learn and grow. And that's where AWS came into the picture, and I applied for it, and yeah, and was it was a really rigorous process, but I'm glad it worked out. And then yeah, those were like those COVID times. I think just after COVID. So yeah, it was that inflection point where you really want to be intentional with what you are doing. So moving to tech was pretty new because I did business in university, and sales, commercial sales, at least I was conversant with because of the business aspect of my degree. But then it was completely new, but having gone there and meet really supportive people was pretty nice. So that's a bit of background of how I started and how I ended in tech sales.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know ALU, so I'm also like have been in different places too. So I've done a
Nice.
little bit of front end, and one of the boot camps I did in front end, I met a very young lady who later went to ALU, and that was how I knew about ALU.
Nice.
Sounds like a very interesting, school, because I know that in her first year she worked with Bank of Rwanda while schooling, and then
Oh,
she now, I think she moved to the US or something of that nature. It's awesome. Do they have master's degree there too?
yeah, they have an MBA program that they offer. Yeah, it's called ALU School of Business. So
Mm.
yeah, that's the master's program that they have.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, okay. I thought Paul had a question. Well, that's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing a bit about yourself. So we're going to dive right deep into it. One of the questions we have is, what challenges did you face in your early stage of your career? And of course, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so the first challenge that I faced was first of all like the technical know-how, and this is something that many people are scared about or scared of when they just want to venture into maybe applying for one of these big tech or any tech company. They're afraid of just starting to learn, like technology, and to just dive deep into how to be successful in that particular field. So one of my main fears was I didn't have prior maybe tech background. I understood a lot of technologies just from reading here and there, but I didn't know. I didn't have like a lot of technical, like a technical background. So that made me a bit skeptical into venturing into like the tech world. But I could say how I overcame that is just embracing a growth mindset, where you believe that if there is anything, right, that people are doing right now, they had to start somewhere and they also had to learn, right? So, and you have also the same capabilities and capacities to learn and to grow in any field that you like to. So, um, when it comes to venturing into new areas and new fields, especially when you're starting your career, there's that fear of what if this is the wrong decision that I'm making? What if 5 or 6 years down the line I don't feel this is it and I'll feel I've wasted time? Um, but I will challenge each of us that when you want to maybe venture into tech or any other discipline, what I would say is just give yourself time to first of all reflect on what you want to achieve. So the overarching goal. There's an interesting book called Start with Why by Simon Sinek. So if you have the right reasons of why you want to engage in a certain field or do something, you will find the motivation and the resources to at least get started. So, first of all, the challenge that I had is that's being skeptical of like, what if this thing doesn't work out in the long run, right? But just venturing into new fields requires some risk and some strength and courage that you need to have. And I'll encourage each of us, if you would want to venture into anything new or you're just starting out your career, that you just have to give it a shot, first of all, by learning a lot of things about that industry, speaking to a lot of people who are in that industry, and three, just starting and doing it yourself and constantly practicing over and over again will make you master anything that you like. Yeah. Uh,
My AirPods. I'm so sorry about
Sorry.
the stuff. My AirPods was low, and I'm trying to charge it, and my for some reason, Google Meet is not moving to my computer's the computer's. Sorry about that. Um, so thank you so much, Paul. I think Paul has a question, just a follow-up question about the book you shared.
Yeah, I'll drop it on the chat. But it's called Starts with Why by Simon Sinek. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that that's one of the major fears, of people who want to join maybe tech sales and all.
yeah.
They just feel like they don't have like a background in tech, and how do they start off and everything. Yeah, learning is the first thing to do. Thank you so much. So we're going to go like deep dive into someone saying something. Okay, maybe that was me. So we're going to go deep dive into it. So our next question is, what key skills do you believe are essential for someone starting in tech sales today?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'll start with like soft skills and then uh, like give you a few more hard skills. But the soft skills, first of all, that I mentioned in the first question was the growth mindset. So, no matter how good you are or you think you are in terms of technology, it's evolving and it's a world that you need to constantly learn and develop your skills. So, being at that place where you're always practicing and you're always evolving, that's critical. Two is networking, right? Because tech sales is mostly building relationships. Right? You build relationships with your clients, you build relationship with the stakeholders that will help you close that deal, for instance, and you build relationship with the customer as well. So this strategic long-term relationship building are the ones that make you eventually successful in the business. And networking not only involves you reaching out to like different like a large group of people, but involves you selecting right, so selecting those people and stakeholders that are really critical. For instance, in a certain company, you would want to know what the CTO does. You would want to know all the people in the technical team, what they do, what their priorities are, maybe the products team. So you strategically network with those people who would be important in driving that deal to close. And two, I'll say even outside the working environment, get to learn and connect with people in the industry that you're in. For instance, if you're doing tech sales for, let's say, financial services, and you're in a city like New York, right? So that's like one of the biggest financial capitals in the world, right? So that means, like, apart from your scope of work, there's a lot to explore outside. So when you attend, for instance, events that are being hosted and they're bringing interesting topics on finance, it will attract the right stakeholders. So you going to such events and just stepping out of your comfort zone to attend events to drive opportunities for you to connect with other people in the industry will be really critical. So that's networking. On the hard skills, I would say, first of all, you need to build a technical know-how of your products, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to know, let's say, how to, for instance, if it's the cloud computing, you don't need to know how to provision an instance. You don't need to know how to do all those like clusters, containers. You don't really have to know all that. What you have to know is what products do we have, right? And how is it applicable in a certain use case, right? So if Gertrude wants to implement, she wants to start a business, a startup, and it's an AI startup. So she wants maybe to make tech sales nexus have like a website that could have an AI chatbot. For instance, if people have questions, it could automatically answer. And she wants to build that with maybe Google or AWS, right? So I, as a seller on this other side, I should not only tell her that, oh, you're able to do this with AWS, but tell her, okay, we have this particular products and services that can help you accomplish that. We have these AI products, and then two, you connect them with their specific needs. And then that will involve you diving deep into the question and asking qualifying questions. And what I will say uh, has worked is when you really know your products, when you really know how to connect it to the customer problem and customer need. So that enables you to be successful. And lastly, I will say practicing and constantly practicing. And this, to be a good salesperson, you need to go like above and beyond, which means that those things that an ordinary tech salesperson doesn't like to do maybe is cold calling, right? It's really difficult on any day and calling someone, and asking for a meeting. But you going above and beyond and doing such things, it makes you stand out and it makes you practice, right? It's not the best and it's not enjoyable, but when you do it, it gives you a level of confidence and courage, and with that, you are actually practicing like hardcore sales. And no matter how senior you become in the sales industry, that particular skills will be really fundamental, because at some point you'll have to call CEOs, you'll have to call CTOs, right? Maybe at another point of your career, but then how do you constantly build that skills and ability? So just getting a list of like 10 contacts a day and cold calling doesn't hurt, right? And you can constantly build that over time. So yeah, those are the fundamental skills that came top of my head that I think any salesperson could benefit from.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with everything you say. Um, Most especially around knowing your product and maybe not how it works, like technically, but how it affects the prospect that you're sharing with. So I'm just going to go to this question that asks about technology. How do you balance learning about the technology while also building up your sales acumen? How do you put that balance so that you're not switching to one area and the other area is failing?
Yeah, thanks. I think that's why you have to be very intentional with learning and growing. For instance, I could give an example of the company I work for. They give a lot of enablement and trainings, which just come on your portal, and you're able to assess them and do them. So, and they have a way of like testing your knowledge on that. So it wouldn't be possible for you to skip or to finish to just skim through. It needs like you to dedicate a lot of time in learning and growing those skills. But I could say that when you're engaged in technology, there's a lot of industry trends that come along. For instance, if you're in retail or if you're in telecommunication or entertainment or gaming, there are a lot of innovations that come every now and then, and in every any given time there's someone who, or there's a company that has come up with something new. So first of all, you being up to date with what's happening in your industry, right? And this could involve you maybe signing up to certain newsletters, or you attending certain webinars for you to just learn what this industry entails. So being up to date helps a lot, but two, also intentionally taking a lot of sales trainings, right? So that one helps you just build that sales acumen and know the different like sales methodologies that you could use, and there are different strategies that people use to close a deal, right? So if it's medic, if it's spin selling, all those things, if you're able to just learn and grasp them by heart, it really helps you have a different perspective to selling. But three, on the technical beat, I could say, when over and over again, when you're dealing with like your customers, you will know there's some redundant topics that come up in every conversation. Like for instance, right now, generative AI will be something anyone will be asking about. So that means that for you to earn trust of the customer, you need to be really, really skilled in knowing what Gen AI is about, how can it be applied, what is your company doing about it, and what are some use cases that you have that could be beneficial to the customer. So it's about you keeping up to date with what's happening in the industry, and two, learning about those innovative trends that are going on, and three, when you want to earn uh, earn trust from your customer and from the people that you're working with. And this is just an observation I've seen in the industry is if you solve a challenge, right, that's existing in the team or that's existing in the industry, or that many customers are experiencing within your field, you'll be able to really stand out, right? So if one of the challenges that maybe your product has is when it gets to the customer, they do not know how to use it. They often seek external consultancy for that. Why don't you become innovative and develop, a new enablement plan or a new enablement a thing for your customer to just follow through. So I would say yeah, in all these things, it's like thinking, we call it working backwards for in the organization I work for, like thinking what's the end goal, and then you working backwards and laying out strategies to achieve the goal. Yeah. But fundamentally it involves just speaking to what are the customer needs, and then what resources do I need to equip myself with in order to make them happy and to achieve the goals that, yeah, they intend to achieve.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is a lot of information. I hope you are putting down your questions and you have questions at the end. So, thank you so much, Jesse. I think, and another question that is very, um, how do I put it? That is very key to people's hearts is, how do you stay motivated? With the tech world is fast paced, is yeah, fast paced, and there are a lot of things coming up. There's a new technology here every day, new ways of doing things every day. And it can be overwhelming sometimes, but how do you stay motivated, to keep growing your skills, in this very fast environment?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think I think you have to like personally define what really matters, right? And then figuring out what's the motivation behind you doing what you're doing right now. So, if, for instance, I am doing this to develop my technical skills, sorry, and know-how, so that eventually, maybe, right? I'm just giving an example. I could maybe build something that could transform the lives of people in Africa. So, what motivates me would be um, every time I go into work, I know that I am building the skills in order to eventually one day transform the lives of people in Africa or other parts of the world. Another person, for instance, I spoke to some people a few weeks ago, and like maybe the main reason they're doing this is they just want to make money, right? And that is okay. Um, but most often, my observation is the thing that gives you motivation, like genuine motivation, and I've seen a lot of the people who've been successful do is something that is long term, right? It's a long term goal. It's not that I want to buy an iPhone 16, and when you buy it, like you're demotivated after that. Um, but it's something, it's like a long-term goal. Maybe you want to build a house, maybe you want to go to school, you want to start a company, right? So having clearly defined goals that are very smart goals, and you are able to track, how far am I to getting or to reaching that goal. Some people I know are just saving to retire early, right? So they will just want, by the time they hit 40 or 45, they're done, you know. So there's different motivations behind that, but what keeps you going is that long-term goal that you have at the back of your mind, that you know if you accomplish it will make like a huge difference in your life. So yeah, finding that and sticking to it helps you stay motivated.
Thank you so much. There's something that my managers say, in my company. They say something like put a goal to what you want to say. You want to buy a car in 3 months and everything. Put a goal to that because our commission is uncapped. So the more you book more meetings, the more commission you get. So put a goal to it and say, oh, I want to buy a car in 3 months and work towards that. And that becomes like your motivation and why you want to do the things that you're doing. So thank you so much, Jesse, for sharing. So the next question is, what are some common obstacles that you think that tech sales professionals face, like generally, and how can they be navigated effectively?
Yeah, thanks. That's a good question. Yeah, imposter syndrome, right? So it's let's face it, like if you've done sales here, there'll be a time where you haven't you're behind focused, or your numbers are not looking good, right? And that's the point where you forget that you've ever maybe hit the numbers in like record time, or you forget you're actually a good salesperson. And what comes to mind is like, oh, like there's a day in the office they put like some phrases that salespeople just think about. Some of them will be like, oh, I'm gonna get fired. Oh, I must come. Oh, I don't think I belong to sales. I don't think I made the right decisions. And we would find that mostly our sense of belonging is how good our numbers are, right? So when your numbers are really off the roof, like that's like you feel you're part of the team, you feel that you're actually making an impact in the company, right? But on the other hand, when your numbers are not that good, you feel demotivated and you feel that imposter syndrome that comes in. But how to deal with it is one, just I think having like a very concrete plan. That's one. But two, adaptability, right? Changing strategies. When we call it where I work is moving fast while iterating, right? So yes, I'm constantly testing my sales strategies. Or if maybe today I did 20 cold calls, no one picked up, I won't continue doing that tomorrow because I know, oh, there is actually something wrong with this contact list that I'm using, for instance, right? So how could I make it better, right? So constantly iterating the strategies so that you're not doing the same thing and expecting different results. So that's one. And two is like sales evolves. So whatever worked for you last quarter or last year wouldn't be the same thing that will work out the same way this year. Maybe you just did two calls last year and you are like, someone, sometimes you get lucky. Someone was like, oh, I have this deal. Yeah. Let's meet. And it just goes real quick. But the other one, you're struggling to even just get something to start off the year with. But then what should keep you motivated and going is that if you've been able to consistently, achieve those good results, then that means you have the capacity and the capability to do that, even when time you seem pressed by time and resources. So I'll say continuously having a good plan. That's one. But two, changing strategies and being adaptable and asking people what worked for them. Yeah, is something that would really help. And I think one thing that I love about the organization I work with is like everyone is very open. If Elizabeth got a very good deal, everyone in the team will be asking them, how did you do it? How did you reach out? What messaging did you use? How how did you which stakeholders did you bring in, so that like everyone learns from each other. So knowledge sharing and adaptability, changing strategies, moving fast, and will help yeah, conquer the imposter syndrome.
Thank you so much. And I think that is one thing that, you know, that's one thing that is very, uh, you know, very key to every salesperson's heart. I I had, my previous roles, I have like some months that were very slow, and everything, and it just feels like the world is about to come to an end. How do I get out of this, and all of that. But yeah, I think that comes with sales. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, I'm sorry, I'm be very honest. I'm multitasking. I know you know about inbound, so it's happening now in the US, and I have a prospect who would be visiting our booths. So I'm trying to connect her with my colleague. Sorry about
No
that.
problem.
Okay. Sales. Okay, so the next question, we have, I'm sorry if you can hear background noise. I don't know why my neighbor is noisy today. So
Okay. Okay, sorry. I wanted to say that we should like maybe wrap up so that people can start asking questions.
yeah, I'm getting to that. Of course,
All right.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So, yeah, also you can be dropping your questions, you don't have to wait to the end actually. So you can drop your questions as it comes to mind so you don't actually forget. So I can always go back and forth with it. The next question we have is, could you share, a moment or a major success in your tech sales journey that has shaped your approach today?
Yeah, yeah, I'll share like the, of course, GDPR, but there's a company yeah, like we were really, really looking at having an engagement with for a very long time, and I think um different people had tried all the strategies, all the messaging and everything that you could think of. But the thing is, this people were billing a huge amount of money with us consistently, but we had had zero interactions with them. So it was essential that we just get in touch, get to know what's happening there, what's leading to them utilizing a lot of our services. So I remember like doing it's called just I scrolled on my LinkedIn and I reached out to one of the stakeholders in that company and wrote a very nice LinkedIn message. As we all know, sometimes LinkedIn it never works most of the times. So I wrote to him and didn't get any reply. After a week or so, wrote a few emails, didn't get any reply. But then I was like, what other strategy could I use for us to just earn this person's trust, because I could imagine he's a senior stakeholder and he's receiving a lot of all these messages. Everyone wants 30 minutes with him, right? So how could I make it different? And just looking and seeing that, I did a bit of digging, and so this person had done something remarkable and phenomenal that they were recognized on. And so I did LinkedIn. These days you can do a LinkedIn. You can send a video on LinkedIn, and you can also do like a voice note. So I did like a video just congratulating him and just saying, "Oh, actually, I'm from this organization. I saw this, wanted to congratulate you, and just introduce myself. I am part of your dedicated accounts team, and yeah, it will be good to just catch up at some point." Like, very simple, right? And very, there was nothing special there. And the next day I got a very nice and warm reply from him, and he also like sent a video, you know. He sent a video and a voice note just saying how that award came about and how he was very excited about it. And it was just a casual chat that we were having of like, oh, um, me just asking questions of like, how could, you know, other people just learn from you, and from how you've been able to achieve that. And that turned out into later on like us discussing, oh, by the way, it was just like a by the way, oh, you've been using AWS, so what are some of the things that are leading to you guys utilizing more of our services and our products? And we were able to get a lot of information from that, and that led to a very successful deal coming out of it. So what's changed my perspective on sales about that? Sometimes we use the traditional methods, you know, of I want to send X number of emails. If I send 100 emails, I'll get 2 replies. And out of those 2 replies, at least one of them would be, you know, quality. Yes, there's that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we have to like think outside the box and on the customers, be on the customers like perspective, and think if it were me, what would really attract me from all these messages. It will be something that's up close and personal, that this person took time to read about me, the award that I got. They read about the speech, and they're congratulating me about it. And they're not just going, oh, I want 30 minutes with you. This is what we want to discuss, you know. So sometimes taking a step back and thinking from the customer's perspective helps you develop the best sales strategies in order to reach out to them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, that's true. We have a session coming up in October 2nd, on video selling. So I guess everyone should be there. Thank you so much, Jesse. So I'll be going
Yeah.
to the last question just so that we can have like more time for people to speak and make comments and all of that. So, and on your final piece of advice, what would you like to leave, for us as because a lot of people who are in TSN are very early in their career in sales, in tech sales, and or people who are trying to like lift off from the their career in sales. So what would you advise? Like, what is like your take, your advice, to them and to us as we sojourn in this very interesting career?
Yeah, first of all, I'll say you're very lucky in terms of just having that interest. If you're in sales, you're lucky, but also having that interest of developing the skills is fundamental, because if you want to start a company to be successful, you have to, like, sales is one of the main success metrics that anyone would look at, like what amount of revenue is the company able to generate, and how do you make your product appealing and relevant to your end customer. So I'll say this is really a really critical skill that you're indulging in, but also acknowledging the fact that it's not the easiest pathway, right? And it involved, there's a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth, which talks about there's some careers that resilience is more important and surpasses skill. And sometimes sales is one of those pathways where at some instance and at some point in time, grit, which is the power of you to be consistent and to keep practicing despite the difficult circumstances that you face. And I could say it's those parts where one day you have a very nice and successful day, the other day you didn't catch any fish. And what I would say is grit, where it's resilience, it's consistency, and being able to have that growth mindset to just learn and develop yourself. Those are some of the soft skills that go way beyond the best sales methodologies that you could ever learn, and go beyond the years of experience that you've had, right? So embracing those soft skills like resilience, adaptability, and having a growth mindset will help you go a long way in your sales career, and also in other fields that you engage in later on in life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. That's, that's very true. I know that one of the things that, you know, the way we get the people who come on TSN is just, this is what I do for work. So why can't I just reach out to anyone to come speak, you know, at TSN? So yeah, it's definitely something that we're going to use, long term. So we have very few minutes more before we let Jesse go and let every other person go. So, two things. If you have questions, you can drop them on the chat, or yes, like Paul, you can raise your hands. Yes, Paul, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Jesse, for this session. Um, love the fact that you mentioned that book starts with why. I read it in 2021. The why, how, and what, and you've been able to touch on all of these aspects. Yes, I have a question. So, for someone using myself as an example now, for someone who um, has done sales in different industries like the consulting, automotive, oil and gas, and want to transition into tech sales. You apply for jobs and you get to a stage during the interview and you are saying that you're being told, rather, that because you do not have an experience selling um, IT, you would need to step back, step down. What advice would you give? Um, is it what would you advise someone like me to do? How would you advise me to go about it? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Paul. And I think it's a common challenge, especially when like the earning trust beat for employers when they're hiring for especially senior roles. For instance, if I'm entrusting you with a big account, for instance, if I give you you to handle, let's say, Jumia, right? So if you're handling Jumia and they're utilizing a lot of, let's say, you're applying for GCP and they're using a lot of GCP, um, you would have the best sales skills, right, of selling the product. But if you don't understand what they're using, you don't understand the application, it will be difficult for you to even prove that you can do the job. So it's that you can easily get into early career, right? For instance, graduate programs, if you're just starting out, and they will need no prior, tech or IT skills. But then if you're looking for like a role that's more tenured, like an account manager or a principal, a salesperson, it will require you to have technical skills, and this is how you can develop them. You could just start, for instance, there are these companies that offer these certifications. So if you do some GCP certifications, you do some AWS certifications, and they're not many and not that technical as well. If you do at AWS, we have AWS Cloud Practitioner. That's something you can study in like one and a half months, and you just do it and get the certification. So that gives you the foundations of how cloud computing works and how can you apply it in different scenarios. And when you go a step further and do, let's say, solutions architect associate, that one now helps you. You can be able to look at a particular use case and recommend products and services that the customer can use. So once you have that, and you go to an interview and tell them, oh, I've actually done the cloud practitioner and the solutions architect. With the cloud practitioner, I know how the cloud works, and I can be able to determine what services and products are beneficial to the customer. And with the solutions architect, I can actually be able to interpret different use cases and recommend different products and services that we can use. And then if you diversify and do maybe something from GCP or another thing from Terraform, and you have just at least one or two certifications, it shows that you have like adept skills in the tech world. And it's not only cloud, but applies to other industries as well in tech. So I would challenge you to take those certifications. They help, and a lot of trainings that are foundational, and that you can have a proof at the end of the day that you did it. And that gives you that understanding of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's asking just a follow-up question. Like, do you have like companies that are known for such certifications?
Yeah, there's and there's the Terraform as well. So those are the ones I would
We didn't get the first one, or
So,
was it
yeah,
me?
we lost you for a bit.
oh
Yes.
oh
Can we type it in the chat?
oh
Something.
yeah,
Mm.
there's
Okay, so while we're at that, Praise, I see your hand. Just we'll get to you very, very shortly. Hopefully we can get out, we can leave very soon. I'm working towards that. So then someone has a question in the chat. So Lukman is asking, what do you think is the easiest between tech sales B2C and B2B?
yeah, I'll say this. mm, I'll say if you're dealing with like an organization like ours, of course, B2B is B2B is quite easy, right? But if you're if you're in a company that maybe it's a startup or it's a small or medium-sized business, B2C would work. I wouldn't say one is easier than the other. I'll say just like the feasibility, right? So if, for instance, we have AWS and we are hosting on behalf of other companies, like big businesses, right? yeah, that B2B model would work. But then we also have places where individuals just want to, like if I want to create an account and use it on AWS, yeah, it will be efficient for me to do that, but then it doesn't have a lot of value to the business. So it depends on what is your company structure and what are you selling, right? And then I'll say out of that, having a strategy of, balancing B2B and B2C. If your company,
Mm, mm,
like both of them will apply to that specific scenario, just balancing, where would you get most revenue? That's where your priority
mm,
should be, and how feasible is it? So yeah, I'll say there's no easy route, but what I'll say is just being very, very strategic about, how do I sell this product to this business or to the end user directly, and how does that impact my revenue and drive up sales in the company. So there's no easier route, but you just look at the feasibility of what you're selling, and its relevance
mm.
to either the business or the end user. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a
I
lot of hand
actually,
raisers.
yeah. Okay, I think you missed a question earlier from Miriam, with the future of AI, something like that. Please take a look.
Okay. Oh, I did miss it. I'm sorry about that. So she was asking, with the future of AI, where do you see tech sales, I believe, going in the next 5 years? What would the growth look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I see it like as an entry point towards like diversifying sales and what we do. So there'll be a lot of new products and services that would come up, and most of the companies are innovating and are utilizing AI not only for content creation, but they have a lot of different use cases right now. So that will mean for the seller, there are more products and services for you to sell. But it will mean that you actually knowing its potential and application would be some like a plus for you, in terms of making more sales. But two, if you are at a point where you would want to maybe transition or change your career, those skills are really like are easily transferable. So if you have both sales and AI skills, and you've constantly developed them over a long period of time, you can get really good and promising roles which are currently not maybe defined yet, until maybe generative AI is quite strong and stable enough, maybe 5 6 years down the line. I think there will be a lot of new consultancy roles. There'll be a lot of new AI and machine learning, maybe solutions architects or specialists coming up, and there will be really promising sort of salaries to them as well. So yeah, it will be maybe one of the highest paying jobs out there. So keeping yourself relevant by developing those skills will be really critical.
Mm, mm. Solution conversion. That's true. Okay. So Praise, your hand has been up, so you can ask your question.
Thank you so much, Jess, for this session. Thank you, Gertrude. Thank you, TSN. I really appreciate that. Okay, so I think so. Initially, I was contemplating on actually asking my question because I felt like you touched a bit on it when you were answering Paul's question. But yeah, I currently work as a sales executive, right? Very early in my career for now. And before I got my role in sales, I was interested in learning. I'm still interested in learning about the technical aspect of software building and stuff like that. I joined ALX And I currently have, so my question now is, I currently have my certification exam in 2 weeks for solutions architect, right? But over time, I have had to like question myself about why a salesperson needs to get certification, right? Most times I get on interview sessions and potential employers are asking me, why are you taking this certification? So I just want you to touch up on what you do as a salesperson that is also in the technical field, and how you think, like the career progression, right? What you think about it, and maybe why taking certifications can also be a good thing. Exactly.
Yeah, praise. Thanks for that question. It's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's quite strange that. Yeah, I think it's most of the times, in my experience, I don't know, I might be wrong, but most of the people would actually think that's something that's beneficial and it's a plus on the interview, so they wouldn't like question that. Um, but when it comes to the certifications and trainings, what I've seen is it builds, even just for maybe let's forget about it being attractive on the CV or the employer, but it builds your confidence. And when you're going to any customer meeting, you understand what they're saying. For instance, if you go to a boardroom full of CTOs, COOs, and they're talking about a project where they are saying, oh, we actually want to use uh, containers, right? And we want to deploy them this way, or we have on premises infrastructure, we want to migrate them to the cloud. What are some of the ways in which we can do that, right? If, for instance, you would maybe have a technical person, a solutions architect on the room, but if you don't understand specific aspects of it, you will end up losing trust or confidence in yourself at first, but also the trust of the people around you. Because if you don't understand your products and services, it's really difficult for you to sell. So, what those certifications give you is not like if you do AWS cloud practitioner or you do GCP foundational something, they're all the same because it's all networking. So what you get to understand is the different aspects of how technology works, right? And the application of it. So it gives you that technical background of how to approach such conversations and how to build confidence and trust with the people around you. So there are more advantages to it. But then one of the other things that I wouldn't want you to do is like spending 70% of your time on certifications and 30% on doing the actual job. So balancing and making it like a strategic long-term goal where you're saying, oh, I'll give myself 6 months to do the solutions architect because it's a tough exam. I know it. So giving myself like 6 months so that I'm dedicating 10% of my time on training and certifications, and a huge chunk, like a good salesperson, 90% of their time is actual selling. Right. So I'm dedicating more time in doing the actual sales, and 10% of the time is on training. And that's where the certifications come in. So make it a long-term strategic goal rather than a short-term goal where you dedicate like 8 hours a day in doing it and you're performing poorly at the actual job. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jesse. So Lukma, I think you have another question because your hand is up. Can you go ahead and ask?
All
Lukman,
right, good evening, everyone. Thank you,
good evening.
Jesse. Okay, I think the question I was trying to ask the other time about B2C and B2B was that which one is actually easy to close between, like, when you're trying to make sales between B2B and B2C? Because presently, where I work, we actually deals with B2C, and it's kind of stressful. So what I'm trying to see, okay, probably I go into B2B. But before I take that steps, I'm trying to see, okay, which one is more easier, because dealing with uh the end user sometimes can actually be stressful and all that. So I'm trying to compare the two, between the business to customers and business to business, to see uh how easy it is to close the sales. So that's what my question is all about the other time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think Lukman, yeah, that's a good question. And it's good to have diverse experiences. I think despite of where you started from, it's not, yeah, it's good that you're actually practicing like closing deals. Yeah, I'll say B2B is quite complex, right? Because it involves a lot of stakeholders and you knowing, like there will be a lot of decision makers as well. So it's a bit complex, right? In my experience and in what I sell, than B2C. So B2C is pretty much like consultancy. In what we do is like, oh, this person has already decided they want to do this. So they just want to know what product will they need to use, or if they're doing it correctly. They just want to consult with us, right? So in what we sell, like the technology we sell, which is cloud computing, I'll say B2C is quite actually easier and in terms of short-term deal closing, but B2B will take even a year to, or months. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Gertrude, your hand is up.
Okay. My question was to Jesse. I wanted to talk about how I know a couple of persons here who are very new to tech sales. They don't even have probably a role already in tech sales. So, what is the best way? Because top of mind, they want to know how can we get in. We've recommended courses, quite all right, but I would like to hear you. What would be your advice to them just getting into tech sales? How can they get started?
Yeah. I think if you're very early on your career, I would advise you to get into either internships or graduate roles. That is the best place to start. It's very junior, but honestly, you get to, first of all, have that psychological safety of making a lot of mistakes, and no, like you wouldn't have uh, a lot of consequences after that, because you're just learning and growing, and it helps you build that experience. But if you're tenured, I would say starting as and maybe account executive, that really helps, because at that place you will be supporting the person who's actually looking after the accounts, right? So um but if you're just starting your career, I'll advise you, there are a lot of graduate programs that are offered by these big tech companies, TikTok, Google, GCP, AWS, and they usually do it like year over year, like Amazon does in cohorts, right? So they'll have maybe during the summer people coming for internship, and then if you do well, you get a full-time offer, right? So that's, like, I could say, the easiest and fastest way to get in. But obviously, if you're more tenured, it will require you to have a bit of some technical, some sales experience for you to qualify. So I'll say graduate programs and internships are the best entry points that I know of at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jesse. To add to that, I know in Nigeria here we might not have that much access, and maybe some other persons in other African countries. So I would also advise that you look out for entry level roles. That's how I got started. I got in as a sales associate. I had no idea what I was doing was even tech sales, and then I built up from there, and I got more clarity, joined communities, and started to learn like that. And yeah, we're still learning.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. Um, somebody's hand was up. Was that Chiamaka?
Chiamaka, yes, Chiamaka. Hi,
Yes,
Chiamaka.
Do you still have a question?
hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you,
Hi.
TSN, for this platform, and thank you, Jesse, for the tips. My question was actually similar to what Gertrude asked, and you've addressed it because I'm actually tenured and I've been trying to transition into tech sales. So, okay, I could just ask for you to probably share tips on how I can position myself for tech sales role.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say as Gertrude shared, there's that aspect of yeah, just going for the associate or entry level in sales. And the good thing about that is when in sales you have to first of all prove that yeah you are able to be competent, and that would involve working under someone in most cases, or you being given a particular task and proving, oh, if you can do this, then you're entrusted with something bigger. So if it's something you're really passionate about, like, go for the entry level positions. But if you're like really much tenured, I would say that's where it gets to a point in time. Someone was telling us where it's no longer how good you are at your job, but who can speak for you, right? So if you network, right, and get to build a lot, like a big network in sales, and in people who are really good salespeople, and they are really working at like companies you would like to just get to spend a lot of time with them, just to learn from them. And when someone sees that you're really intentional about learning, and they will obviously just open up an opportunity for you. So yeah, when you're 10, you just focus on like networking, and that's how I'll say I've seen most people get really big sales jobs out of it. But then don't stop there, but also build and continue building your sales skills on the side. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. I think I saw somebody's hand up. That was going to be the last person because we've taken a lot of the time. So thank you, everyone, for being here. If that is the last
Wait,
question that we
wait,
have.
what about you? What about you, Akachi? What's your advice? Jesse, I work at Rise West. Akachi works at Chili Piper, and I feel like you can share your own experience because this particular topic, it's typically for people who would love to get into tech sales and people who are here, but would like to build capacity, but more for people who are very curious about it. So yeah, please share your experience, Akachi.
Yeah, for me, I think that you both have said like majority of the things. Just
Mm-hmm.
network on LinkedIn, I don't know, a lot of people have said that sharing their journey on LinkedIn, posts as LinkedIn posts and everything has helped. I don't know.
That helps.
I'm a very social person, so I don't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
So, but it could help. People
Mm-hmm.
have said that the book, why am I so booking meetings right now? So people have said that they land jobs that way.
Yeah.
Recruiters reach out to them, CEOs reach out to them and everything. So that can work. Another thing that I would just add is if you can, you reach out to very early startups and CEOs. like people who are like 10 employees or 5 employees, people who are very early in, their startup journey. Those ones are quite more flexible to work with people who don't have like, who
Lots
are
of
starting
experience.
out and who are looking to transition and everything, and also learn the tools that are being used, like the CRM tools that are being used, the lead generation tools that are being used. Learn about them, check them on YouTube, check how to use them on YouTube. And some of them are very, sorry, some of them are free. I know Apollo is free to a very large extent. So you can use that to just practice and learn so that when you tell people, oh, I've used this tool, you can really
Mm-hmm.
know that you have used these tools. And most of them are very similar. So they use the same kinds of buttons and everything. There's no much difference out there. So yeah, that can help you a lot. So
Yeah.
these are the things that I would say.
Okay. How did you get your job at Chili Piper? Can you please tell us?
I think in my job actually, I think in my job I applied. So
Okay.
so Chili Piper is very there's no much thing anyone can do for you inside of Chili Piper.
Mm,
It's mostly what you do for yourself there during the interview.
okay.
So there are different levels of stages rather.
Mm,
And what one of the things that helped me was was finding out what people were doing, or people who have interviewed with Chili Piper.
okay.
Glassdoor was Glassdoor was a good place. So I found like a lot of things. So for me, I like to see positivity in things. So when people say, "Oh my God, they did this and I didn't like it," I'm like, "Oh, they did that. I'm gonna learn about that," and that helped me a
Mm,
lot.
yeah.
To know, okay, this is what these people are thinking, and this is their thoughts about stuff, and that was how I got in my
Where did you
first
see?
try. So
Where did you see that? Was it? Where did you see the application to apply to Chili Piper? Was it LinkedIn or Glassdoor? Glassdoor is for reviews now, right?
mm, yeah, they also post jobs there, but no, I didn't see. I um Chili Piper. It was on LinkedIn
On
actually.
LinkedIn. Okay, so LinkedIn,
It was
guys.
LinkedIn. I saw it. Then I moved. I then went to their website and then I
Oh,
applied. So
okay.
when you find companies that you like, this is what I do. When I find companies that I like, I mostly just open my alerts on LinkedIn for their jobs,
Me too.
and I visit their websites quite
Mm-hmm.
often because I like them. Like I said,
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's it.
So I was going to add to that. Tech sales is really beautiful. Jesse works at AWS. Um, Akachi works at Chili Piper. She lives here in Nigeria, but Chili Piper is in the US. And I feel like that is something that we should take cognizance of how broad the opportunities are and how much the earning potential is. I work at RiseVest here in Nigeria, but RiseVest is also a dollar denominated company, and the earning power is way better than what I was earning when I was a Montessori teacher. So with that in mind, I would really love for each and every one of us here today to broaden our perspective. Even though you're trying to apply to roles here in Nigeria, you should look out for companies in the abroad. Tech sales, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So this is the time to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us. LinkedIn is beautiful. For me, I love LinkedIn. You see a lot of opportunities there, network, follow these companies on their company pages, and yeah, keep it open, engage in the community. And we share a lot of resources every day. So pay attention to those as well. And yeah, connect with Jesse on LinkedIn. He's not so active on LinkedIn, but he posts every now and then, and they're usually worth reading. So yeah. And Jesse, it'll be a pleasure to have you in our community. I and Akachi will be stoked to have you so that we can always, ping you when we need something to think about it. Thank you, everyone. It's Akachi, over to you. It's
No, I
8:24.
thought you were taking over. I actually thought you were taking over. I was about to log off. Thank you so much, Gertrude. Thank you, everyone, for
Okay.
being here. It
Thank
was a
you.
pleasure. It is a
Yeah.
pleasure, because this is a work day, like I said, and this is, we have quite a good number of people here, and we are way past time, and people are still here. So thank you
Thank
so much for being here.
you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Jesse. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jesse,
you,
for being here,
Jesse.
for
Thank you,
sacrificing your
everyone.
time. And thank you, everyone. Before I keep on saying thank you till we have another 30
Join the
minutes, thank you, everyone.
community. Join the
And
community,
yeah,
everyone.
join the community and follow Jesse on LinkedIn. Jesse, is that a better place to follow?
Yay! Someone said I
Yeah,
would love to learn at
LinkedIn
this.
is good.
Yeah, so connect with Jesse on LinkedIn, and yeah, please be in the community. We have, yes,
Yes,
the
the
community
community
is
is
on Slack. I posted the form, a
mm-hmm.
link to fill the form. So you just fill the form and you'll be added. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. Good
That's
evening,
Jesse's
good
link.
morning, good
Yes.
afternoon.
Connect with
Yes.
Jesse. I dropped a link in the comment section. Connect with him on LinkedIn. Bye,
All right.
All
everybody.
right, bye,
Bye bye.
everyone. Okay, bye.
Bye, Akachi.
Bye. Okay.